The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a dramatic loss of human life worldwide and presents an unprecedented challenge to public health, food systems, and labor. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit the entire world hard, turning people's activities and habits upside down, especially teenagers. But how really big was the impact of COVID-19 in the lives of these teenagers? Let's find out what they say.
My name is Wendy Rodriguez Hidalgo, and I'm 15 years old.
Hi, I am Adriana Dominguez and I am 15 years old.
Hi, my name is Maridelia Cruz and I am 18 years old.
My name is Erika Lorlaine and I'm 13 years old.
Hi, my name is Albert.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tavares and I'm 15 years old.
COVID-19 had a strong impact on my life because I love my social life too much. And when I realized that everything was getting worse and that the cases of COVID were increasing, and also knowing that I couldn't do anything, my life began that in a stage of anxiety and anguish.
I would say it's more the fact of the physical contact. We couldn't hug, kiss, or any type of physical contact. Besides, I study from home. For me, it's so difficult because I don't feel I'm learning, and it's a little bit more complicated to participate in class because I don't feel so confident. Moreover than that, I don't think the impact was that big on my life.
The impact of COVID-19 had on me was not really that hard because I think I am an adaptive person, which is something I discovered about myself. Of course, at first, it was something new for me because I wasn't very teach savvy, but as I said before, it wasn't hard for me to get used to virtual classes and other gatherings. We all know that Dominicans are friendly, and a greeting hug is not strange, but distance favored me because sometimes those kinds of greetings made me uncomfortable.
Very big. It was difficult stage in my life, but I think it was a lesson since I improved many things that I did wrong before, or I am simply doing productive things that I did not do. I also think it was a time when I was able to clarify many doubts that I had saved, where I could learn that it is okay to feel the worst at times and that it is okay not to be perfect because no one is. I learned about self-love and what self-esteem is. I didn't know anything about it, but I think thanks to pandemic, we all start to focus on things that we didn't give much importance to before.
Honestly, I didn't care. My lifestyle is to be a really solitary one. I am a home person, so I've never actually missed being in the outside and enjoy my time at home. It suddenly changed when I started to realize how much people were passing off. All those persons dying and making even more pressure on the scientifics to rush the vaccine. I've had in life. That was chaos, and the outside was crazy.
It was big. It was incredible seeing how the way we used to live our lives have changed dramatically. Seeing all these close people dying, how the people were scared and locked in their house, the way of we take classes and interact with others. Those are some aspects that changed, and we with them, creating an impact on us. Personally, when I said big before, I said it as a result of how the pandemic affects me in the way I see life and the value we put on it, and how our lives can be affected so fast.
having time alone for myself without having any contact with anyone. And I also learned to give myself more value.
I did learn a lot of things about myself. One of them is how good I am at writing, like poems, as well as I love K-pop or Korean songs and watching Asian dramas. By the way, I learned my dependency by watching the series on their true language. Now I can't bear to watch a series in Spanish if it's in another foreign language. That's funny because a lot of people hate subtitles, but for me, I prefer them for foreign shows.
Well, during the pandemic, having nothing to do, one day I got bored and I looked for a video on YouTube to learn how to draw. And I realized that I draw very well. I also discovered that I'm good at guitar and basically many branches of art. During the process, I went through bad times, like many people, and looking for expressing my feelings in some way, I started to reading poems, then I made songs, which were not so bad.
Yes, I changed my way of thinking and seeing things. We all learn something new, either for better or for worse. And now I am a more reserved person who thinks things through before saying or acting. I also learned how manage my emotions, how to be stronger, and always look for the bright side of things.
That I was nothing, so small, with no power, only the capacity to witness the atmosphere. Really disgusting, not having control of what's happening and relying on others. Once I accepted the facts, it was much more easy to think and find a solution for this feeling. The best I could do is to follow all the restrictions and with time beginning to be more adjusted to the lifestyle.
I think we all learned something during the pandemic. In my case, considering all the time we had at the beginning of the pandemic to do things or activities that we like or we didn't have the time before, I was able to learn several things about myself. One of those things is that I realized that I am a self-demanding person in the good way. Thanks to the virtual classes, I could improve my skills with computer and programs, something that was good for me. I also learned more about my tastes and the way I see life and the people around me.
Before the pandemic, I loved so much playing volleyball, and I was part of a team, but I can't play anymore because I had a knee injury when we were in quarantine, and that is something I miss a lot.
Before the pandemic, I used to interact more with people and go out often. Now I'm not sociable as I was. I truly believe it's a consequence of the pandemic, and at present, it's a habit. In other matters, I miss when I went to my grandmother's house and all my family met. Also, I miss going to the park close to my neighborhood.
After school, I used to stay there with a friend, and sometimes we play basketball with other students who stay there in the afternoon. Most of the time, we just sat around talking with another friend and spent the afternoon there. It was very entertaining and one of the best parts of my day. After the pandemic, this could not to be possible due to isolation. Today, we have already gotten back together to hang out and had a good time.
In my case, I plan to talk a lot with my friends or classmates, be social and be very creative. Also, be always energetic and transmit it to others. I could also say that I always wanted to participate in all the activities that they did in my school, since now it is not like that, and be positive for everything.
Going to everywhere. Before the pandemic, I used to go to the cinema with my father, shopping with my mom, etc. Since the pandemic began, I've only had time to do nothing. I've only went out like 3 times in the entire pandemic, only 2022. Really, the closest thing to being in jail. The freedom felt stilled. Going out was like fresh air.
Well, in these times of the pandemic, we are in a stage in which we're returning to the way we lived before, also the activities that we used to do. Consequently, I don't miss those activities very much. I miss more the feeling that they caused me before. But I remember that during the quarantine, I really missed being with my friends in presential classes or interact with them, being with my cousins in my grandmother's house, or going outside to different places like the cinema when it was closed, for example.
I believe that after this, it's something positive. Since many of us learn to value more those special moments with the family, with friends, and with the special peoples in our life. And also, many of us learn to value our life even more.
Yes, something positive is the new things I learned about myself, things I really enjoy at the time. Stuff that maybe I wouldn't know unless the pandemic has happened. In addition, the people I met during the quarantine, people who are my friends, and before the pandemic, I wouldn't talk to them. And all the new food I have tried during the quarantine.
I have the belief that in every bad situation there will always be something good to come out of, apart from the millions of lives that this terrible disease has taken from our hands. Those of us who could against it have a new experience, and I think that all of us could leave us with both good and bad experience. After this, we all have new habits, whether bad or good, but I think everyone have learned something new from themselves.
I learned that I have potential in things. I am quick to understand certain things. I am a person who likes to be always active, but sometimes I can also be a bit demanding. I am a calm person who does not like to get into trouble or be a bother. I prefer to have a small group of friends to have a large one. I learned that I get stressed very easily in everything. I don't have enough patience, and I am a very non-conformist person.
Of course, there's something. Once you see in retrospective the situation, it united the world to find the solution to a common problem. Make the people realize what they've lost, like freedom, friendship, lives. The point is that they reappreciated the things. And I got a cup because I was feeling cold.
Of course I do. As a society, we learn that if we have a common objective and we all do our part, we can achieve that goal. An example of this are the visual classes. We could see that although all this was happening, we stayed focused and we were able to move forward, having the opportunity to expand our knowledge in different areas. As a result, we have the what is happening today. Thanks to the cooperation of people with the quarantine, wearing their masks, protecting others, getting the vaccines, we can see that we are returning to normal. Another thing is that many of us had the opportunity to learn more about ourselves, the way we see things and reflect on the way of how we live our lives, thanks to the pandemic. Also, the opportunity to strengthen our bonds with our family and loved ones. So, of course, I think there's something positive.